What's going on? It's been a minute, but we are working on my 1981 Malibu today. I basically am going to be throwing the entire UMI catalog at it. So I got these boxes in about an hour ago. Really excited about it. So we're going to unbox everything. We're going to lay it out, just kind of show you what is going to be going underneath this car to make it handle a lot better, a lot more modern, and make it a lot more fun. So let's get to it. So let's kind of go over everything I got for the car. Short answer, everything. I already have the sway bar there attached, as you can see, and then I also have their front chassis brace installed. But for the suspension pieces, full coilover kit, front, rear, tubular control arms, tubular rear link bars, there's sway bar for the rear, everything. Also, these are pretty trick pieces. This is going to help with the bump steer. The tie rod end lengths helps you dial that in a lot. And then I also went with their thrust bearing kit for the coilovers. Makes it a lot easier to adjust. But this is freaking killer, and I cannot wait to throw it on. So let's do it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and tackle the front end first because no reason really, just because I want to. One thing I can recommend is anti-seize. Put anti-seize on all your bolts and threads and everything. It'll make things go a lot easier, and if you ever have to take it apart in the future, they won't be stuck together. So yeah, let's get to it. A side note, these things don't come with new hardware, but you can purchase it through UMI, or you can reuse the ones you already have, or you can source it from your local hardware store or something. They're nothing special, but they are, just make sure you're using either grade 8 or 10.9 metric. So I have to put these coilovers together. I got one for the front done, but now I'm going to do one to show you kind of how it goes. I coated everything basically in the anti-seize. You definitely want to do it on these billet pieces, otherwise it might gall your threads, and that's really bad, and then you'll never be able to adjust these again. You definitely don't want that. It comes with these snap rings and then this piece that goes on the bottom here. So take a good set of snap ring pliers. I'm going to install just one of them right now. Like so. So they have these little grooves in the bottom. You can see maybe. Yeah, right there. So that's where that snap ring goes. Make sure it's seated all the way in there. And then take the piece that the bolt goes through, or it kind of, it's not the actual bolt that goes through that piece, but you don't want to like force it, and it should, I mean, it is real tight. But again, I anti-seized all that and I put it in, and now I'm going to do the other snap ring. If I can get it in the hole. There we go. It's stuck. There we go. It's not all the way in, so I'm just going to take a screwdriver, just push it home. There we go. And then it comes with this little sleeve, and this is what the bolt actually goes through. So I'm going to coat this section in anti-seize and then shove it through in through there. After I drop it. My anti-seize will kind of like keep it in there so it doesn't fall out either. Whew. That's no good. So I just noticed that I got some burrs on the end of mine. So I guess that's a thing to look out for. I'm just gonna clean that out in a second. And then, first one to thread on is the bottom piece, and it has a step on this side, and it's smooth on that side. So you want the step side facing up. And this takes a minute. Next you want what the spring rests on. Again, all these threads, I put a bunch of anti-seize in there. And expect yourself to look like Tin Man by the time you're done with this, with the amount of anti-seize that you're using, because it gets everywhere. And next, I upgraded to the bearing kit. So you got these little bearings in here, which helps it just kind of glide, like the spring when it's on there, when you adjust it. So you don't have, because when your car is on the ground, it's going to have a bunch of tension on it. And if you try to do any adjustment like that, it's going to be very difficult. And this just kind of helps everything move on its own to get your adjustments. So shims, then bearing set, then shim. Obviously everything's coated in anti-seize, including myself. and then spring. And these have like writing on them, so I don't know if there's like an orientation. I wouldn't think that there's an orientation up or down because it's the same diameter bottom as it is the top. So just doing it so the letters face up. And then we're just gonna pull the shock up. And then your top cap piece. I'm just gonna push it back down on there. And you're done. Fancy smanchy Viking double adjustable coilover all assembled. And it actually comes with like an instruction sheet in terms of setup with it. Just to kind of get you in the ballpark of how many clicks to do for whatever you're doing. So that's really helpful. So now we can go ahead and throw these on the car. So I am an idiot. Make sure you read your instructions. I got these two flip-flops, so I got to switch these around first before I can start putting everything together. Don't do that. Let me see if I can kind of show you the issue that I'm running into in order to run this style coilover on these. Let's see if we can look in there. They're like little fingers that used to locate the front springs. There we go. So you see those little fingers right there? Those have to all come out if it would focus on it. Focus, focus. It's not going to focus. There we go. So those little things, those are interfering with that coilover right now. So I got to cut that hole bigger so it can go further up. So yeah, let's see if we can knock that out a second. So that was a little bit of a pain in the butt. Wasn't really expecting to having to do that, but whatever, not a huge deal. Instead of trying to get like a cutoff wheel or something in there, I actually just took a wrench, adjustable wrench, and then just basically fatigued these little teeth until they popped off. And then that gave me enough room to take my angle grinder here and just kind of like go at it until I had enough clearance in order to fit the coilover up in there. And then I went ahead and painted it, and then I went ahead and assembled it. I'd show you, but it's so difficult to see in there. It's so difficult to get in there. But hopefully you kind of get the idea. And you only have to do all the teeth on this front edge here. And that should give you enough clearance. It's plenty clear on the back side. So as you can see, I got it all put on, and I was filming a lot of it. Oh, wrong way. But I just kept hitting snags. Like it's a giant Chinese puzzle, if you kind of think about it that way. If you put one piece on, it might interfere with how you're going to put on the next piece. And I just kept running into that, so I just didn't really film it. But it all kind of went together nicely after you kind of figure it all out, because it just doesn't really list it in the instructions the way you would think it would. But then again, I really didn't read them. So my own fault? I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, we got it all on. So let me show you everything that we've got. So yeah, look at all this pretty goodness that's going on here. The brake setup, it's a Willwood dyno light. Something kind of light. 4-piston rotor caliper setup, very light. That's probably why they call it that, compared to the stock setup, but it is 11-inch rotor, so you could probably run 15-inch wheels if you wanted to, but I am running drop spindle, so that's out of the question. I am going to be running 17s up front here, and I'll show you the wheel and tire setup eventually, but you can see the coilovers in there, all pretty, sway bar hooked up, and one thing I really like is that bump steer kit, because it replaces your tie rod end there that I have, which I already had like a Trick QA1 adjuster on there, but replaces it with a Heim joint, which I think is a lot more beef. Obviously, I don't have it set up correctly yet because, I mean, that all comes when the alignment comes. And everything is just bolted in. It's not torqued down. It's not like paint marked or anything like that. That'll all come once I get it all assembled and on its own weight. And then that way you can adjust everything after that. This is just this is just on, and I think it's awesome. On to the rear end. I am using the stock 10 bolt that this thing came with. Definitely could have upgraded to like a 9-inch, but I had this. It already has 28 spline axles in it, 373 gears, and a Yukon limited slip differential. So that should work just fine for what I plan on using this car for, which is just mainly street use. As you can see, I kind of already have it a little bit modified with those extension brackets there in order to get your pinion angle correct. So I am hoping that doesn't interfere with the coilover brackets themselves. But as you can see, it's pretty dirty because it's been put together for a couple years now, and it's just been sitting. So I'm going to go through this thing, clean it up, paint what needs to be painted, and I think I'm going to cut the old coil brackets off that are right there because obviously we don't need those anymore. So yeah, let's get to it, cleaning this thing up and painting it. So I definitely was not planning on taking it down this far, but it was just like too gross and dirty for me to be happy with it being thrown up underneath that car. So I went ahead, I cleaned it all up really well, scuffed everything up again. So I'm going to respray this thing black. I'm going to go ahead and tape off all the areas obviously I don't want black, like these axle ends and the rear cover. And then let that dry. It's a bit cold out here, so I'm going to go ahead and heat up my paint and then also follow up all my sprays with a heat gun. That should make sure that it adheres quite well. So up here in Michigan, you kind of got to find different ways to make sure that you keep heat on your part in order for it to cure properly. So yeah, I just used some of the packing material that the UMI parts came in, draped it over there, and it just kind of kept it all up in there. And it's been underneath there with the heat gun on it for a good hour or so. It's nice and dry, nice and warm actually. So that works really well. I hit it with etch primer on all the bare metal spots, and then I hit it with a low gloss black. And then I actually used Duplicolor, this stuff right here. I swear by this stuff. The truck bed coating, light spritzes on there, and it gives it a nice textured sheen. It should be a lot more rugged. But with this all done, it's pretty much ready to be thrown under the car. I have my coilovers here all assembled and ready to go. So now I'm just going to do all my brackets and stuff, get them up underneath the car, throw the axle up underneath there, and hopefully get this all knocked out real quick. Holy crap, this stuff is cool. Yeah, like the ability to take coilover system and put it on an old, you know, frame-bodied car. That's pretty freaking sweet. Yeah, so it's all up in there. Minimal difficulty. On the bracket here, I did have to drill in that hole right there once I got the main bracket on there. Not a huge deal. Put the bolt in. It's good to go. Yeah, this looks so freaking good. And then I would recommend getting that upper brace piece if you do this. I know it's really kind of hard to see, but it just kind of links the two together. But I also have my cage coming down on top of where these coilovers mount, so that should really help strengthen everything up. All in all, what a freaking awesome kit that UMI offers for these G-body cars. I mean, pretty much just bolted right in. Minimal trimming, minimal effort, and God, it's just going to make a world of difference, I think, with the handling on this car and how it puts the power down. So I'm really excited to see how it's going to react this spring. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. I'm going to try to document this build as much as possible. So just consider hitting subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.